Good evening and welcome to Public Speaking, a Lions University course brought to you by the USA Canada Lions Leadership Forum. I'm past District Governor Nancy Watt Durant, Dean of the Master's Program, and I'll be working along with other Lions U associates during this evening's presentation. Past Council Chair Gary Steele, who is our Lions University Coordinator, past District Governor Corky Carlson, who is our Technical Wizard. The webinar is being recorded for those who cannot participate live with us tonight, or if you would like to review the material at a later date. You can participate in this particular webinar, and we certainly encourage you to do so. You can ask questions or respond to a question by typing them in the questions pane, or by raising your hand so you can be unmuted and speak directly to everyone. And I'd like you to be aware that we will be having a question and answer period at the end of the presentation, so save up your questions until the end, if you would, please. Next slide, please. Public Speaking Course 227 is an elective course for the Lions University Master's Program, and it's designed to help Lions lead at the district level. The Master's Program involves the completion of 10 required courses, and those are the ones shown on the left, and at least 5 of the electives that are listed on the right. Just because you're required to do 5 doesn't mean you stop at 5. We hope that you'll be able to do as many of them as you possibly can. You can see all the courses that are currently available or scheduled by going to the appropriate program page. This page refers to the bachelor's program, and there are similar pages for the master's and the doctorate programs as well. Now, you will need to register for a Lions University account by going to lionsuniversity.org, and that's to allow you access to the available courses, take the quizzes, and track your real-time progress. We'd like you to use a different username and password than the one you may be using when you register for the USA Canada Lions Forum. We strongly recommend this to avoid confusion between the two sites because both sites are run by the forum. You can use the same, but I'm really hoping that you won't because we've had a few people get quite confused by doing that. After participating in the webinar or watching a course video, select Mark as completed, and that's where the arrow is pointing down at the bottom right-hand corner there. And that will link you to the quiz module. It'll appear. Take the quiz, and when you've successfully passed it, you can download your certificate for that particular course. Next slide, please. Oh, I missed one. There you go, process. You can monitor your own course completions by selecting My Account, selecting either bachelor's program courses, master's courses, or doctorate courses. And we'd like to stress that it's your responsibility to track your own progress. When you have completed a phase of the program, such as all the required courses and at least the 5 electives, or the required experience that is required for some of them, you then apply for program credit as select the appropriate phase. Complete the relevant information, providing as much detail as possible to assist us in verifying you've met the criteria. So if you've attended any of the institutes or other forums, please be as accurate as you can with the dates that you attended, because it makes it an awful lot easier for the staff to do your verifications and let you know that you've met the criteria. As a reminder, you can take any course in any order or just the courses that are of interest to you. We do hope you will go on to complete your various certificates, but it's up to you whether you do that. One thing we must stress, though, is attendance at a USA Canada Lions Leadership Forum in 2014 or later is a component for those of you who are working towards completing all of the bachelor's, master's, and doctorate program requirements. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce our presenter, past international director Esther Lamothe. If you'd just like to advance the slide, we can see Esther. There she is. Esther Lamothe lives in Jackson, Michigan, has been a Lion for 25 years. She was an international director from 2013 to 15, and while on the international board, served as chairperson of the Leadership Development Committee. In her capacity as a Lion, she was a member of the LCI Leadership Division faculty for 15 years, and she is LCIP certified, so she's reached the pinnacle as one of our international instructors. She had the honor of being on the faculty for all institutes, District Governor-elect School, conducted numerous webinars during her tenure. Esther currently is the area coordinator for the Campaign 100 Fund Drive, overseeing Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. And as if that wasn't enough to keep her busy, she's also secretary of her Lions Club. She has been a presenter at numerous international conventions, USA-Canada Lions Leadership Forums as well. Esther is a Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow, and she received the Ambassador of Goodwill for her dedication to service. Esther is a widow with 2 grown sons, married sons, and they live in Kentucky and Las Vegas. Now, on a personal note, I've known Lion Esther for a long time. She was one of the faculty members when I attended the Senior Lions Institute, now the Advanced Lions Institute, in Reno, Nevada, and we won't even tell you how long ago that was. And I've also had the pleasure of co-presenting a webinar with her for the Leadership Division of LCI. I know you're really going to enjoy her presentation and learn a lot based on her experience. So Lion Esther, the screen is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Nancy. It's always good to hear from you. All right, we have 2 objectives for the next hour that we're together. First objective is we're going to talk about the steps you would take in preparing a presentation. And the second is the steps in delivering your presentation. As Lion leaders, at some point in your career, you're going to be asked to make a presentation. And if you follow the steps that we're going to go through tonight, it'll make you much more successful. So the first part, of course, is the preparation. So you should know your subject. It's important to select a topic that you're comfortable with and avoid topics that may have technical terms with which you are not familiar or content information that is unknown to you. Having experience with the subject adds not only to your credibility, but also helps you with your comfort zone when you are speaking about it. For example, if you have experience extending new clubs, then you can speak to the steps in that process and share personal successes. However, if you have never extended a new club, you may want to pick another topic for your presentation. Once you've selected the topic, you research it to learn as much about it as possible. Using our same example, even with experience extending clubs, you may want to research the different types of clubs, branch, campus, specialty clubs, etc. So you have as much knowledge as possible. Because I'm sure somebody's going to ask you a question, and you may not know everything, but of course you always say, I'll find out and I'll get back to you. So next slide, please. So you've got your topic. Now you want to decide on the type. Are you going to inform, entertain, persuade, or motivate? The next step is to decide this. If you want to inform your audience, entertain them, or motivate them, think about what it is you want your audience to take away from your presentation. Once you know that, you can decide on the type of presentation. If you want to share information with them so their knowledge has increased, then that's your purpose. If you want to entertain them so everyone feels upbeat and uplifted when you're finished, you design your presentation to do that. If you want them to take action after your presentation, then you use words and content to persuade them to do something. Oftentimes, you can use all 3 of these. Once again, using our example of extending new clubs, you may want to share an amusing anecdote from your personal experience. Then give them the steps to follow when extending a new club. And at the end, persuade them to come with you on your next adventure so they too can experience extension firsthand. In this scenario, you've used all three types, but the outcome you're seeking is for them to take action and join you in your next adventure. Next slide, please. Now you need to learn about your audience, and this is very, very important. This is a step many people overlook. Learn about your audience before you appear before them. Your approach will differ based upon to whom you're speaking. If you're speaking to school-age children, your choice of language and visuals will be different than if you're speaking to a group of adults. Knowing their background knowledge on the subject is important. You do not want to waste their time or yours if they already know the topic or are very familiar with it. For example, you're speaking to your district GMT team and they're very familiar with extension, your choice of language and information will be very different than if they're brand new to this role and to this topic and you are coming in as an outside expert to help train them. I think this is especially true if you bring in new members in your club and we start throwing around all our acronyms and they just kind of look at you like they have no idea what a DG, PDG, CC, PCC, all this stuff is, and we take it for granted. So think about who your audience is. I was at a meeting this week and the man talking was talking about projects in MyMD, but he didn't tell the people geographically. He started listing off the different district names. Well, they didn't have a clue. And I stopped him, I interrupted him. I said, tell them the geographic areas you're talking about because they don't know where those districts are. So know your audience. Don't take things for granted. Next slide. Know your venue. Do not assume anything. When invited to speak to a group, ask pertinent and important questions. Find out who your audience will be and how many will be there. That's especially important if you want to bring handouts. Get the exact address and type of venue for your presentation. Will it be a clubhouse, a restaurant where a club meets and other customers are in the area? Is it an auditorium? Finally, is it a large group, more than 30? Ask for a microphone. As our population ages, so does our hearing, and using a microphone helps them hear and helps you to save your voice. If you plan to use PowerPoint, find out if they have the equipment, screen, etc. And test your equipment before you get there. The same speaker brought in all his equipment and he couldn't get anything to work. If you use PowerPoint, ask about the light in the room. You want to make sure your presentation does not fade because of sunlight. How much time are you given for your presentation? And what time of day is it? It's no secret the most difficult time of day to make a presentation is after lunch, especially if the lunch was heavy. You will need to gear your presentation to overcome drowsiness and oftentimes disinterest. I was teaching at an institute one time in Chicago and they had pasta every day for lunch. Well, the poor people that had the 1 to 3 time slot after lunch had a really difficult time because all those carbs made people very sleepy. So you have to kind of keep that in mind and change your pace of your presentation to try to keep things moving. All right, next slide, please. All right, so you've decided your topic, you decided what you want them to take away. Now it's time to actually put your speech together. Your preliminary information has been gathered, so now it's time to get to work. The first part, of course, is the introduction. There are various ways you can begin a presentation. Outline the main point that you'll be making, tell a story, or share something about yourself that pertains to the topic. Do not tell jokes. Telling a joke can really backfire, and if you turn off your audience in your intro, chances are you will not get them back to your body. My personal style is storytelling. I tell stories to get their interest, and it works. And I'm comfortable with it, and they're comfortable with it. It can be based on personal experience, or I have a lot of publications and a lot of books. There's this group called Simple Truths. And you can order a lot of motivational books from them, and they're just small books. They take, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go through, but there's a lot of good material in there that would help you with your introduction. The purpose of a good introduction, of course, is to gain their attention. Then comes the body. This is the mainstay of your presentation. Limit it to 3 or 4 points as an audience attention span wanes after a short time. Don't birdwalk or wander off your topic. Stick to it and your points. The conclusion is your lasting impression. This is the thing you want to leave with them. If your presentation was to inform, you may want to summarize the main points you made. Just to entertain, leave them with another personal anecdote or another story that leaves them with a smile on their face and feeling good that they came and spent the time with you. If it's to persuade or motivate, ask them to take specific action. You need to find your own style and what you're comfortable with, and then build on that style. Next slide, please. All right, now comes the kicker, so to speak, the actual delivery. The key to a successful delivery is practice, practice, practice some more. When you practice your presentation orally. Say it. We speak differently than what we read. Stand in front of a mirror so you can visualize yourself as you present. Video record yourself if possible so you can see your quirks and distracting habits. Keep your hands out of your pockets. This is especially true if you keep change or your car keys in your pockets, because the rattling that comes from that is very distracting. If you can't video record, then voice record so you can hear your tone, your use of language, and your inflections. Do not drink alcohol before you speak. Alcohol dries out your vocal cords and dries out your mouth. It takes the saliva out of your mouth, and it makes it very difficult to talk. Room temperature water. Don't drink ice water. Ice water is very hard on your vocal cords. When I go out to speak, if it's at a banquet, I ask the wait staff to bring me a glass of water with no ice at the very beginning when I get in the room, and I let it sit there until it's my time to get to be room temperature. Conduct a sound check if possible. This is especially true if you have a lavalier mic and you're not tied behind the podium. You want to be out in the audience, which I recommend. But you have to know where the feedback spots are in that room, because there's speakers in the ceiling sometimes. So find out where that is. If it's a stationary microphone, test it. Make sure that the volume is what it should be and that it's where it should be on you, on your face, so that it picks you up. All this takes practice, and the more you practice, the more comfortable you'll be with your presentation, and it'll be a much more successful. You should not, the first time you go in someplace should not be the first time you practice that speech. You should be practicing it a lot at home. Next slide, please. Okay, visualize yourself. What is your audience seeing? It's important to dress appropriately. Remember, you as a speaker should be dressed one level above the audience's dress. Select outfits that are not distracting and are tasteful. Your audience has to look at you, and you want to make a good impression. Practice your eye contact. Look at people, not over them. Stand straight and project your voice. Use gestures when appropriate, but not rehearsed. If you need notes, use note cards with 1 or 2 words per area to help you remember your points. It is not recommended that you write out your presentation in script form or completely on note cards. The audience does not want to hear you read to them. They want you to share with them and to look at them, not at your notes. If you are wearing a lavalier microphone, then you should have something where it can be centered underneath your chin on your chest. It shouldn't be on one lapel or another, because when you turn your head, you lose your voice. And so that's especially true, I think, for women because you've got to clip that gizmo that holds the lavalier mic sound system to something, and you got to clip it on your dress or whatever you're wearing. So if you're wearing pearls, it's hard to clip it on your pearls. And so you either end up carrying that little device in your hand or clipping it on something. So think about those kind of things. That doesn't take a lot. It just takes some preparation and say, all right, I'm going to go talk. This is how I'm going to look. This is what I'm going to wear. This is how I'm going to conduct myself, and dress accordingly. You know, something that's really flashy and got a lot of diversion, they're going to be looking at your clothes as opposed to listening to what you have to say. Okay, next slide. All right, there is such a thing as nonverbal feedback. I had a friend tell me one time, one cannot not communicate because you're always communicating. If you're a poker player, you communicate. Maintain your eye contact with your audience. That's very important. It lets you know if they're engaged. Use their expressions to alter your delivery if they appear to be getting bored. If their eyes are drooping, change your pace to help keep them awake. If they look perplexed, perhaps your points weren't as clear as you thought. So pay attention to the signals the audience gives you. And that's where eye contact comes into play. It also makes them feel like they're important, that you really care because you're looking at them and you're speaking with them. You're not speaking over them. And it really helps you with your presentation. Next slide. Okay, focus on the message. Remember, you're there to speak on your topic, not to brag about yourself or spend precious time outlining your accolades. Prepare a short introduction you can share with the person introducing you. Or if there's no one assigned to do that, a few points you can share about yourself to help establish your credibility. You know, we're all smarter when we don't give it in our own area. I mean, just coming from outside makes you an expert. And focusing on your topic and why you're there, the audience will appreciate that too. And it really helps your delivery. Next slide. Don't let on when you make a mistake. All too often, when someone makes a mistake or forgets part of their presentation, they call attention to it. Don't do that. Only you know that you omitted something or said something out of order. Just continue on with your presentation and keep your oops to yourself. There's no reason to call attention to it. We all make mistakes. You know, none of us are perfect. And so you may have practiced and practiced and practiced. When you get in front of that group, you might forget something, or you might think, oh, I should have said that. Just move on, because they don't know that. They have no idea that you may have missed something. Okay, our next slide, please. Involve your audience. Passive listening is very difficult for most of us. We like to feel like we're important and part of the presentation. Whenever possible, involve audience members, but never, ever embarrass anyone. So try to be out with your audience, try to engage them, but don't embarrass people. That's the worst thing you can do, is to embarrass somebody in your audience. And our next slide. One of the last things here is leave them with a favorable impression. When all is said and done, you and your audience want to leave with a smile on your face and be glad that you had the opportunity to share this time together. You may want to share your contact information in case they have questions or want to share feedback. They may want you to come and speak to their club or group. Don't overstay your welcome, but don't rush out like you're happy it's over. You've invested time into preparation and delivery, so enjoy your success. Remember to be prepared and enjoy the experience. We all will have somebody in the audience that's shy or bashful that does not want to bring things up in front of everybody. And when you stay after, and you can use the pretense that you're cleaning up or putting away your equipment or whatever, stop and talk to people. because they'll come up and they'll share things with you one-on-one that they may not feel comfortable sharing in front of the whole group. And so it's really important that you solidify what you've done by showing them that you care with a smile on your face and that you're glad you've been there. And our last slide. All right, we've talked about the steps. We spent this hour, or actually a half hour, with two objectives in mind: preparing a presentation and then delivering it. Now you'll be ready to take the quiz that Nancy talked about and get credit for this session. You may proceed to that quiz section of the Alliance University website when you are ready. And so hopefully this little bit will help you as you prepare your next presentation. These steps are pretty simple. It's not rocket science by any means, but if you follow those steps, you should be very successful. So Nancy, I'll turn it back to you for any questions or comments.
Okay, if there we are on the questions. All right, if you have a microphone and you wish to verbally contact us, you can raise your hand, we'll unmute you, and you can ask your question of Esther. We also are encouraging people to type questions into the question pane, and we'll try and flip back and forth between those and the verbals. Now, the verbals are going to be faster, so come on, people who don't have mics, get typing. And those of you who do have mics, up with your hands.
One thing to remember when you have a microphone, it's live. So if you're wearing a lavalier microphone and you have to go to the restroom or out in the hall, it can broadcast through that whole room. So be sure you turn those things off if you're not in the presentation mode.
I think a certain broadcaster had a very, very embarrassing moment last week, didn't he? Because he had a hot mic. I think we all heard that, didn't we? Teresa Maresco, you have your hand up. I will unmute you. Teresa? Okay. I'll go then to Teresa Hart. My goodness. Okay. H.N. Singh, you have a question, sir? Or ma'am? I'm not getting the ability to unmute. Corky, is there some magic you can work there?
I'm currently trying to unmute the people to call.
Okay.
I've got Teresa unmuted right now.
Okay, we have two. We have Teresa Hart, we have Teresa Maresco. So
Maresco I got right now.
okay, Teresa, would you go ahead with your question for Esther, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't have a question. I didn't realize my hand was up. My apologies.
Oh, that's okay. Sometime your computer will play that little trick on you too. Okay. Since you're in that area, Corky, what about Teresa Hart?
I'm trying to get there. He's unmuted.
Hi, this is Teresa Hart, and I have completed this course, and I just want to commend the speaker. I loved it the first time, and I'm loving it again. But I've completed all 5 elective and my 10 core, but I don't know how to take that last step in order to get my master's, hopefully in Des Moines. Any help with how do I attend a Lions Leadership Institute? I'm in Kentucky.
You're in Kentucky. Okay. Gary, are you on there? Could you answer that? Because I'm not familiar with institutes down there.
I'm not certain what Kentucky has. If you would contact somebody from your multiple district leadership, especially the people involved with training, they should be able to get you in touch with someone that can help you with that. Some, like in North Carolina, we don't always have those available here, but we partner with the Southeastern Leadership Institute to do those in different states. So it may be available that you could do that from Kentucky as well. But somebody at the multiple district level should be able to help you get in touch with the people that can get you involved with that.
Yeah, I've been having trouble finding someone to get me there, and since it's already almost April, and I'm hoping first of all that we have our convention in Des Moines, but I really would like to get my master's in too. So is there any numbers or somebody that I can call or find out? I'm willing to travel.
Your first name is Teresa?
Yes.
Teresa, this is Esther. Do you know past International Director Tom Matney?
Yes, I do.
Get a hold of Tom.
Okay, thank you.
Tom will point you in the right direction or get you in contact with the right person.
All right, I appreciate that.
That's
Thank you.
great. Thanks, Esther.
And just since she brought it up, and I'm still unmuted at this point, we have just received an announcement in the last day or so that Des Moines will be in person. The committee just made the decision that that is what we're going to do. We don't have all the final details yet, but we are going to Des Moines.
Except for our Canadian friends.
Well, we're not really sure what we're doing. We'll do our best to get there, but it's a challenge. Roseanne Burris, do you have a question? And can you unmute her, please, Corky? I don't see any typed in on the question pane yet, so everybody's doing it by verbal.
I think she can unmute herself because I'm trying to do it and I can't get her unmuted.
Okay, I
There it is.
can't either.
I
Oh, you got
it.
it?
Okay.
Good, thank you.
I've taken public speaking courses before, and I mean I'm retired now, but I wondered if you had any advice. I still get nervous when I get up in front of folks.
Good.
And my son is getting ready to go through Regional Alliance leadership, and we'll be together that weekend. And I just, I know the practice, know your subject, but still I get nervous. So do you have any secrets or any advice?
Well, you should get nervous. We do better when we're nervous. If you go in there overly confident, you become complacent and you don't do a good job. Recognize that you're going to be nervous. And I personally, when I go out, I psych myself up that I know I got to go on. And I am, I'll start out maybe a little iffy until I get going. And once the audience starts reacting to me, then I really relax and I have a really good time. But it's natural to be a little nervous, and you've got it right. The more you practice, the more confident you are with your topic. And know that there are people that would rather drown than give a speech. They've done research on that. And it's a frightening thing for some reason for us to get up in front of our peers. And so just accept the fact that you're going to be nervous. And you might be a little shaky at the beginning, but once you get rolling, you'll be just fine.
Okay.
But that's normal. That's just perfectly normal.
Thank you.
I have a friend who says, get your butterflies herded and get them in order. And once they start flying straight, away you go.
Right.
So that's what I visualize as a mob of butterflies, and I straighten them out. And it seems to work.
A lot of that depends on your audience. I mean, there's some audiences that are tougher than others. And if you're in that room and I try to interact with my audience before I give my presentation to get a feel of who they are and where they're coming from. And that makes a big difference because you're going to have some tough audiences and others that are, aren't so tough. So that adds to your nervousness too.
For sure. I see Barb Ennis has her hand up. Corky, are you able to unmute Barbara, please? That's Barb Ennis up near the top.
Trying to. Here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Barb.
Really enjoyed the presentation. Thanks for unmuting me. I just had a quick question. I think I missed, I'd like to take the quiz, and I sort of missed where I would have to go to do that because I haven't done this before.
Are you registered as a Lions U student, Barb?
No.
Okay, that's the first thing you have to do is register with lionsuniversity.org, and that will give you access to everything that is on there in any of the programs.
So I can take the quiz at a later, like a few days later or whatever?
Yes, yes. You can
Okay,
also
great.
you can also listen to the recording again if you want. So
Sure, thank you. And Esther, you did a great job.
Thank you.
okay. Craig Thompson is the next person I see here, Corky.
Trying to find him. Okay. Hi, Craig.
Yeah, I could do. I have a very good computer system.
Okay,
I
Craig.
don't know if you wanted me to speak about the first question or the second question that I kind of threw up there in the talk column. I kind of just thought about it. I said, what happened if we saw the smoke coming out of their ears? When you talk to people, because sometimes that kind of happens. Because people just don't really realize. This is me. I'm a past district governor out of District 15. If anybody doesn't know who I am,
So your question is, what happens if you can tell that you're really upsetting your audience?
yeah, and that's what I'm kind of figuring, doing that. But I thought that was a good kind of question to throw up there.
Was that your intent?
Oh no, not definitely, no.
All right.
But really-
So,
really
you have to figure out why you're upsetting them, whether or not it's what you're having to say, whether the way you're saying it. And I never hesitate. If I see that happening in my audience, I'm not to embarrass them, but I'll stop and I'll ask them if they want to say something or speak something, because it's obvious that we disagree on something. And sometimes that's all they need is an opportunity to voice their opinion. So it depends on what you're doing that you would alienate your audience like that. You need to kind of really think about what it is you're saying and how you're saying it. Is this going to upset people? And if that's your intent, you want to call them, get them moving, get them doing something.
Yep.
That's different than if you're just really ticking them off so they want to get up and walk out.
But I guess my main question, I wasn't trying to just jump in there, and I kind of stated it in the first part. What happens if you have two presenters coming to a meeting and you both have the same topic?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you're going to approach it the same way.
That's true. Because each person really has their own mindset, how they want to present it and do it, so.
Their own style, their own way of doing things. Why would they invite you to have more than one person on the same topic? That's poor planning on somebody's part.
Yep. Oh, that's happened to me once over years ago. So me and as far as, I'm not trying to talk about myself, but when I was certified in another area many years ago, I had so many people call me after that. It was just like, okay, explain this better to us. And it was nice to do that, that you're able to still communicate to the people.
Right. Nothing, if it might be a debate or that kind of a open discussion or a panel discussion, and you might have the same topic, but people approach it differently. And
Yep.
you can say that in your presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Some people approach it this way, but this is the way I want to approach it. And preface it.
Yep. So thank you for letting me talk. I haven't spoken one of these here in a while, so.
You're welcome.
Thanks for calling in. Where are we? Debbie Doty is just the next one down, Corky. If you could unmute her, please.
I'm trying.
Okay. And honestly, I don't know what's happening to the chat pane, but I don't see any questions.
Neither do I.
Okay. I thought maybe it was just me.
If you click on the question mark over there, it jumps over. There's Debbie now.
Hello.
There.
I'm in Iowa, past district governor, and I wanted to address some of the folks that were looking for an institute. Several of the multiple districts in the Midwest put on the Great Plains Lions Leadership Institute, and this year it's July 23rd from the 25th. It is still planned on being held in person at Maryville, Missouri. They do give preference to the folks from the hosting multiple districts, but they have allowed people in when they have room from other multiple districts. So you might want to look at gplli.org and put your application in for the school. It is $190 if you get it in before the end of April, I believe. So you might check into that.
That's great. Thanks very much, Debbie. Can you scroll down to H.N. Singh, please, Corky? And this line has been very patient, had a hand up for quite a while.
He has to try to unmute himself, it says here.
Okay.
There he is.
Me, HN Singh from India, Lucknow. Just I want to know, while in public speaking, if the public address system is stopped, what we have to do at that time?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
I am asking, while speaking to public, all of a sudden public address system is not working. Then what to do at that time?
Nancy,
I'm sorry, I'm not getting a clear transmission.
right.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lion Singh, you're
What's
breaking
not
up.
working?
His question is, what is to do when public address systems
Don't
not
work.
working?
Okay, good.
Yeah, it happens. Well, if you can test it out ahead of time and talk to the tech person to make sure that there's fresh batteries in the system and everything's working. Now, I have been in situations where it has died in the middle, and there's nothing you can do about it unless they've got a backup system they can run out to you. So you just roll with the punches. If it stops working, then you continue to try to raise your voice and talk the best you can, because there's technical problems with everything. And so your best bet is to try to troubleshoot before you start. Make sure that everything is working, that the batteries are fresh, that the tech person has extra batteries there if it's just a handheld mic and you got to replace the batteries. Be as proactive in doing that as you can.
Yes, I think we've all experienced situations like that, and they're pretty daunting. If you have a smaller group, everybody can kind of crowd in so they can hear a bit better. But if it's a large room, it certainly creates problems, doesn't it? Challenge.
Mm-hmm. That's another reason why I don't like to stand behind a podium. I go out in the audience. I feed off my audience. I feed off their feedback and the way they react. And if you can be out in the audience and communicate a little bit better if you don't have a microphone, if it's not working.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let's move on to Jemima Riley. If you would, Corky, please.
Okay. This thing has a tendency to jump on me too fast.
Mm-hmm.
It says self-muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Jemima, can you unmute yourself?
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for a wonderful presentation, very informative. I know you spoke about how to treat with the anxiety, but there are moments when you have done the preparation and you're really very prepared, but you get there and sometimes you're overwhelmed by a little bit of fear. I know that in the past, persons would have said, look over the audience rather than look at them, because that could make you even more afraid. But there are instances when everything is prepared and you get up there, and at that particular moment, it's like it just is over you. What advice can you give to sort of in that immediate moment to treat with overcoming and beginning the presentation? Thank you.
Well, my advice on that goes back to what I said earlier. If you can get in that room and socialize with the attendees before the actual banquet or whatever it is, meeting starts, and you have to, quote, perform, and become more comfortable with your surroundings. Be comfortable with the people so it's not so frightening. It's not like you're off stage and all of a sudden you're called to be on center stage like a singer or a performer, and you look out at the audience and you think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So the more comfortable you can be with your audience and with your surroundings, you know, get there early if you can. If you're going to use a podium, stand behind that podium and get the feel of it. If you're going to use a microphone, test the microphone. If you're going to use a lapel mic, test the lapel mic. Do everything you can to make yourself more comfortable, because you have practice, you've got it down. It's just stage fright that's stopping you. And the only way to overcome that is to do the best you can before the limelight, the spotlight hits you in the face. And just know that, you know, nobody else is standing up there to do what you're doing. You volunteered to do this, or you accepted to do this. More power to you that you're willing to take on that risk and try it. And, pat yourself on the back that you're willing to do that where everybody else sits out in the audience. So that's my best advice. Be as comfortable with your group and your surroundings as you can possibly be before it's your time to actually perform.
Thank you so much. Pleasant evening.
We'll move on to Joanne Ferguson, please.
Joanne, unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening all. I am Joanne Ferguson from Trinidad and Tobago, MD60. And my question is, I have been to events and guest speakers come to the podium and says to the audience, I was only asked to do this yesterday or a couple of hours ago. Could you please address this? Since I think it is inappropriate, but it happens all the time. So many and experienced speakers do it.
Well, tell them to take my course. What they're trying to do is excuse if they screw up. They want to know ahead of time that, well, I was just asked to do this, so I'm going to just do it off the cuff. That's baloney. You know,
yes.
That is not acceptable. And I don't care if they were asked when they walked in the door. You don't tell your audience that. It's just they're using it as an excuse. So, you know, that's just not the way to start out.
I think so too. And I will share that bit of advice today. I will ask them to do your course. An excellent presentation, I might add. Thank you very much. Good night, all.
I love your country. I've been there a couple of times. So
okay, you must come back once the borders open.
There you have an invitation, Esther.
There you
go. We'll move on down the list. Manir Ahmed Chowdhury. If you could unmute yourself, please, Lion Manir.
I don't see that person.
It's precede is MD and then it's MANIR, Ahmed Chowdhury.
Got it.
Got it? Good. I'm Munir. Can you unmute yourself, please? No luck. Okay,
There he
let's
is.
move. Oh, we got him? Good. Not having any luck there. Can we move on then, Corky, to Neil Cleaver? He's about 4 or 5 down the list.
Neil, unmute yourself.
I didn't really have a question. I was just making a comment. My experience is expect the unexpected, I guess, because something's always going to happen that throws you a curveball. I've had to move to a different room at the last moment. Had my time cut short. You never know what's going to happen, but there will be a curveball.
Thanks, Neil. Yes, I think it's just wise to be prepared for anything and everything, really, isn't it? Next on the list, Corky, is Nira Jha, just the next lion down. Nira, can you unmute yourself, please?
They don't have a mic on that one there. I don't see a mic where I can unmute it or mute it.
No, all I've got are just green question marks. I don't even have the mic
Yeah,
logo.
so all you can probably do is answer the question that she's got out there. I am not able to hear anything. I don't know why.
Okay. Sometimes these marks come up automatically. We've had that issue with a couple of other webinars. Okay, I don't see anybody that we haven't already dealt with. Oh yes, here we have. And it's Anand Kakumari, about 4th down from the top. I can hear somebody in the background. Can you unmute yourself?
There he is.
Yes. I'm Anthony Padmanabhan from MD324. Connectivity problem. Can we have the recorded program to hear it later on? Do you have a chance of hearing this as a recorded program?
Yes, we will be posting the audio up on the for University of Lionism, okay? It will be able to be heard again.
Okay, thanks to hear this news. Thank you so much, because I was not able to hear most of the programs because I had the internet connectivity problem. So thanks to hear this, it is really reassuring. Thank you so much.
It'll probably be up in about 3 or 4 days.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Moving down the list, I see Donna Budai has a question mark here. Unmute yourself, Donna, if you would.
There she is.
Good. Donna, are you there?
Apparently not. It says not attending.
Okay, we'll move down then to Elsa Kalin. About six
Hello,
down.
good evening. This is Elsa from Canada.
Hello, Elsa. Go ahead
I
with
have
your
two
question.
questions actually in the question pane, but unfortunately you cannot see it. So are we able to get a copy of the slides? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, the slides are not available, but you will be able to see the video recording. The slides are part of the recording. You'll see that, and you'll hear the recording.
Okay. The second question I have is there a virtual component of the leadership forum in 2021? Because the Canadians cannot go, I think, by that time.
What I understand is it will be attendance. I don't know if they're planning on a virtual component or not, Elsa. They're still working it out, I'm sure. If there is, certainly that information will be made available.
Nancy, I think there are. Polly Boone contacted me, and she's on the planning committee.
Uh-huh.
And she said they're working out some of that because Canada doesn't know yet what September's gonna bring.
That's right. Yeah.
The third question I have, if you can accommodate a third question of mine.
She's from here.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Hello?
Yes. What's
Are
your
you
question?
able to accommodate third question of mine?
Sure.
Yeah. I did public speaking, and I was talking about a topic, and then we are 3 speakers in a row. So, but then the speaker next to me seems to be, prolonging his topic. So how can you respectfully cut the topic so that you will have your time? Like my discussion has been cut from 30 minutes to 15 minutes.
Well, that goes back to what the gentleman said. You never know what's going to happen, and so
I know.
be a little flexible and do the best you can. And then when that's all over, you take that person out in the hall and you beat them up because they took part of your. Well, there's going to be people like that, and I don't understand that myself, but there are. So, as you're sitting there and you're noticing that, well, that went over, that went over, that went, I don't have enough time. What is it I really want them to know? What's the one thing I want them to take away? And that's what comes from being prepared in practice. That you can.
I know.
Public speaking.
It's not fair that person did that, but that happens.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, I hope that gives you some help there, Elsa, and just as I said, be flexible. We'll go down to G. Randy Culbertson, just about 3 down from Elsa. Can you unmute yourself, please, Randy?
Yeah, Randy, you have to unmute yourself now. There you go. Come on, Randy.
Yeah, this is just right, not too sweet.
His question here, which we can answer, will the recording be available? I have a problem connecting and missing it.
Yes, the recording will be available. It will be up on the site probably in the next 3 to 4 days. Okay, we'll move on to the next person, Galvin Asavandi. Asavandi, pardon me, Galvin.
You have
Can you
to
unmute yourself?
Galvin. There you are.
Thank you very much. Like I said, I missed the presentation, but my question has already been asked and was also answered. My question was if I was going to get a recorded version of this of the presentation, and probably from there send in some questions that is probably necessary. I think the question has been asked before, and it has also been answered.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we have time for one more. Jim Bartley, please. Unmute yourself, Jim.
Trying to get to his name to unmute him. Is it Jim or James?
Well, he's on here as Jim, but he is James Bartley. He's the James Bartley, I think.
I got it.
Okay, unmute yourself.
There he is.
Oh, he's not coming through.
Jim, you there? He self-muted himself.
Okay. Well, that looks like we have everybody. If I have missed anybody, I do apologize. We're just a minute past 9 at this point. So I think we will end the evening. You can see from the slide that's up, the next step is over to you. Take the quiz at lionsuniversity.org. And as we said earlier, you must be a registered student in order to take the quiz. So if you haven't registered, be sure and do that. And we'll welcome you to the Lions U student body. Now, normally we would be announcing the next webinar, and we haven't got that set up yet. So please be sure to keep your eye on the Lions University webpage, calendars, or under the particular programs you're interested in, and you will see when the next webinars are coming up. In the meantime, you've heard that the forum is going to be carrying on in person and also virtual.
No, this is good.
So please be sure and sign up for the forum. I'd like to thank Esther very much for her presentation. I'd like to thank everybody for joining in our student body tonight. And I'd especially like to thank Gary and Corky. You've done a great job, Lions. I couldn't ask for better backup than the two of you. So I hope everybody has a good evening. Esther, did you have something?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
No?
Thank you for
Okay.
the opportunity. See you in Des Moines.